My name's Jen Gibbons. I was in cohort 20 of the residential programme, so the one that came to Lancaster regularly. In my other life, I am in the law school at York University and I'm deputy head of department there. I had a really positive experience. I very much enjoyed being part of the cohort. That was a very strong aspect of the programme for me. I really enjoyed coming and having the opportunity to speak to people from different disciplines. You get a bit kind of focused on your own discipline and stuck in that way of thinking, and having the opportunity to talk to people from other universities working in other disciplines was a really, really positive aspect of the programme. It was a really helpful community. So from very early on, when we first met, we kind of created a group, and we had a WhatsApp group that kind of kept me going throughout the whole of the programme. My husband called them my pocket friends, because I just had a community of people who were there to kind of support me that he'd never met, and were they fictional? But no, they were very much part of my life. And so all the way through the programme, I had a group of people who had my back and knew what I was going through. There are highs and lows because you're trying to maintain your work life and your family life and keep your PhD going. The community aspect of having other people who knew what you were going through was really, really helpful for me. What really worked for me was the modular aspect, because it meant that it had really attainable goals. So in the first half of the programme, there were 3 very big modules that you're working towards, and you're being supported in those modules. But ultimately, you're trying to produce a piece of work, a publishable piece of work. And of those 3 modules, I actually did publish 2 out of those 3. So I was working towards something of publishable quality, and it was then published. And that gave me a huge amount of confidence when I went into the second part of the programme. And I was then doing my own piece of work, because I had an idea of structure and how what academic writing should look like. So to have that modular aspect of the first part of the programme really kind of scaffolded the second part of the programme when I was more on my own. I was quite disciplined in how I was approaching this. So I had very distinct parts of time in my working week that I dedicated to the PhD programme. It's very difficult to just do an hour's work. You need to have a bit more time to think about it. So for me, I was quite structured in how I blocked out certain days of the week, and that's what I was doing on those days. And if I kept with that regularly, I managed to keep on top of the programme demands. It evolved quite a lot through the programme. I was very ambitious in terms of thinking that I would be able to do a lot of empirical research when I first started. There was lots of conversation about that opportunity. Then reality hit in, basically, and it evolved into more of a theoretical piece. Having said that, I had the opportunity to do a comparative analysis between legal education in the UK and legal education in Canada. So I went on site, I managed to go to Canadian law schools and meet people there and kind of get a sense of it there. So it was a theoretical piece, but at quite a kind of high level theoretical analysis, but based on personal experience of meeting people and talking to people. I was quite inspired by some of the theoretical frameworks that we were introduced to as part of the programme. So in the first part of the programme, I was introduced to some of the theorists, and that led to me thinking that there was it had been underdeveloped in legal education. There isn't a huge amount written about the education side of legal education. So I saw a gap, and as soon as I saw the gap, I realised there was an opportunity to really develop a piece of work that could kind of fit the criteria. I think with a PhD, the main findings are always it's complicated. I would struggle to kind of set them out, but it was very much looking at the cultural differences between 2 different countries in terms of the legal profession, in terms of the education of students before they come into that environment, the kind of regulatory frameworks. All of those led to very different models of what legal education looks like in the 2 different contexts. So I think it's quite niche, I suppose, in terms of how that matters. But it's certainly something that I'm wanting to develop as part of my own research to kind of let more people know, that, because there's a huge amount that can be learned from studying 2 different jurisdictions. Significant impact, I would say. So I moved into legal education as a professional. So I was a qualified solicitor, and I went into academia as a professional. And then very much realised that although that is recognised, it's not as highly regarded as academic credentials. So now I'm working in a university context and have the academic credentials as well. I can feel the difference in the way that I'm regarded by people, and the way that people talk to me, and the way, it's like you're in a club that people understand and you're talking the same language. And for me, that has really assisted me in how I want to develop my professional life.